Anthem 1, God Send Us a Happy New Year. Welcome to Anthem 1 in my attempt to write a new choir anthem every week for a year. I'm Kevin Mulrine, and I hope you will enjoy listening to my progress throughout 2024. Please do visit the website, anthem52.com, follow along on x.com, that's at realanthem52, and send me a message to show@anthem52.com. Happy New Year to you and yours. These episodes will undoubtedly change and develop significantly during 2024, and I'm not exactly sure what the best way to structure them is yet, but let me know if you have any suggestions. The experience of writing the first anthem has unsurprisingly been both positive and negative. The general topic for the week was pretty obvious as the year turned. I don't know a lot of New Year anthems, but I did enjoy going back through my archive of photos from the past few years and finding a shot from 2019 of the first service Holy Trinity Choir sang in that year. You can probably guess what the anthem was: Benjamin Britten's A New Year Carol. It's not my son's and my daughter's favourite piece, and it doesn't capture the mood of what I wanted to do with my own tribute to the changing date. I've added that photo and embedded a YouTube video of the Cambridge Singers version into the show notes for this episode, over at anthem52.com, if you want to look and listen. For my anthem, I wanted a celebratory feel, rather than the lilting folk song-inspired Britten carol, so I looked around for some text to use. I came across a rather more upbeat folk song called Noel, Sing We Clear, Sing Carol for the New Year, on the wonderfully titled mainlynorfolk.info website. This seemed appropriate, so I ended up setting just the first two verses, which go like this. The old year now away is fled, the new year it is enter-ed. Then let us now our sins downtread, and joyfully all appear. Let's merry be this holiday, and let us run with sport and play. Hang sorrow, let's cast care away. God send us a happy new year. Verse 2. And now with New Year's gifts, each friend unto each other they do send. God grant we may our lives amend, so that the truth may appear. Now like the snake, cast off your sin of evil thoughts and wicked sin. And to amend this new year begin, God send us a happy new year. So, that's fun. The text is classified as traditional and seems to have been collected around 1860 by William Chappell. You might recognise that name from sheet music you've used. William was the eldest son of Samuel Chappell, who founded a company to publish music and make pianos in 1811. William took over the family business, and it existed until being bought out by Warner Music in the late 1980s. Is there anything musical which isn't owned by Warner now? Anyway, I was happy with the words. When it came to the music, I ended up deciding on an organ introduction with lots of quavers and a strong pedal line to set the mood. To connect the choir lines to the introduction, I added in quaver runs in the same style under the tune and had the organ continue playing a sort of counter-melodic line as well for a couple of phrases. The anthem is in G major initially and has a 6/4 time signature, in a bit of a nod to the folk origins of the text. However, I was very keen to break the structure up to add a little bit of a unique edge, so you will notice that the third line of the verse suddenly careers off into 4/4, with full choir unaccompanied for the first time. After a few bars of chordal arrangement, I threw in some word painting for joyfully all appear, and overlapped the parts. The bass pedals come in playing an ascending run before a loud organ passage, repeating the opening material back in 6/4. I hope the effect is quite exciting. I was unsure how to keep the momentum going, as I often find strophic anthems, that is ones which use the same music every verse, tend to get a little predictable, understandably. So to ramp up the interest even further, I threw in a sudden, slightly mad key change, from G major to D major. It's just the dominant key, that's the fifth, and a common change to make, so not exactly revolutionary, but I like the startling effect. After that, the chorus remains in G, and I throw in some scrunchy chords for the refrain, God send us a happy new year. They return at the end of the anthem. There are a few more time changes, some offbeat odd bass note placements, a repeat of the organ introduction, and a triumphant ending. Or at least that's the idea. Listen out for those bits and pieces when I play the audio version of the anthem in a few moments' time. I ended up being fairly happy with the first Anthem of 2024. The problems really started when I tried to create a sensible audio file to publish. My idea was to create the score in MuseScore, the great free notation software, but then to save it as a MIDI file so I could open it up in Logic Pro, the industry standard DAW, that's Digital Audio Workstation, and use some more advanced software instruments. So it would sound a lot better than simply relying on the default basic sounds in MuseScore. Unfortunately, however, even for this anthem that doesn't include a lot of dynamic or other contrasts, it turns out that church organ sounds, and especially choirs, are fiendishly difficult to synthesize. The sheer number of subtle changes required in Logic to control how the voices and organ parts sound made it impossible for me to create an audio file quickly and efficiently. I had even invested in the Epic Choir plugin from Spitfire Audio, one of the best companies digitizing real instruments in the world. But the controls are tricky, particularly for someone like me, new to the software and many of the basic concepts. So after some frustrating hours of fiddling and making the anthem sound progressively worse, I abandoned the idea and returned to MuseScore. Despite my good intentions to present my first anthem of 2024 in a decent-sounding format, what follows is a fairly untouched MuseScore version. One of the most troublesome aspects is having to rely on choir voices just singing to ah or ooh. There is currently no sensible way of synthesizing actual words, as far as I know. I hope to learn a lot more about Logic so that I can make future audio versions of anthems sound a lot better. But for now, please excuse the basic sounds in the following rendition. Here we go. Anthem 1. So there you go. Let me know what you think of this first attempt. You can also see this software playing the Anthem via a YouTube video embedded into the show notes for this episode at anthem52.com. And all anthems will be available on my YouTube channel as we go through the year. The visual representation is unreconstructed, you could say, with lots of elements still needing to be tidied up. But that's a nice to have, rather than part of the minimum viable product approach of these weekly episodes. Just before I go, congratulations to Paul Walton and Tim Popple, whose Kickstarter appealed to launch Descants Are for Life, Not Just for Christmas. The new collection of 140 descants to 125 popular hymns, arranged by Paul, has already raised £2,220 of their £3,000 target after only 3 days. It has attracted 75 backers, including me and my wife. So well done to them. I hope you will join me next week for a new episode and a new anthem. Only 51 to go. But until then, the question remains, will I make it to Anthem 52?